Today's Coaching Coordinator podcast is a crossover episode from our Football for All podcast, which is designed for your youth coaches, commissioners, and parents. It's also designed for you, the high school football coach who runs the youth program or is on the top of the youth program in his community. This podcast, we have two multiple state championship high school coaches, and they share some of the things that they do to run their program as a K-12 football program. I think there's a lot of insight here, some ideas into what you can do. Please take a listen and pass this along to your youth community. And you can get them to all of our resources, including the Football for All podcast at fdm.usafootball.com. Enjoy the podcast.
You take youth football, but then you fast forward 20 years. What that guy's going to remember 20 years after youth football are moments.
We want kids who love football to have the opportunity to play football.
There's opportunities no matter your gender, no matter your race, no matter your background. There's no specific box.
Looking at, whether it's playing flag football or modified version of the game, I think it's all smart.
We're shaping the whole person. We want to make sure that you're a successful person on and off the field.
Positive football experiences, so they keep playing and keep getting better.
This is Football for All.
I can't emphasize enough how important the high school coach is to developing our game from the youth program on up. And on today's USA Football for All podcast, we're going to discuss that with a very successful high school coach from Indiana, Mike Kirschner, who is now the head coach at Mount Vernon High School. Mike did an outstanding job at Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis, won some state championships there, but really developed his program K-12. And so today he's going to join us and talk to us about the things he does to really build things, to build a great rapport with his youth football community, and to help them. He helps the youth players, he shows how the game is fun, he encourages participation, and he also prepares his youth football coaches. I love this program. I like what he does, both in the winter and in the summer. And at the end of this, we'll also mention another one that we have from Rick Jones, who moved on from being the head football coach at Greenwood High School, where he won multiple state championships. He was the AFCA Power of Influence Award winner, just did an outstanding job there, and now he is the senior assistant to the head coach at Missouri. And we'll have his program for the summer at the end. But joining me today, as I said, is Mike Kirschner. Mike, we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me back.
Well, Mike, let's get right into this. And one of the big things you do is you run a year-round program, but in that, it's not just the high school football team. You start to incorporate the young kids early on in the off-season. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Toward the end of January, I will begin my youth winter academies where I have grades 1 through 8. I have a lineman academy from this year. The case will be from 5 to 6 p.m. And then I have a skills player academy from 6 to 7. Don't charge anything for it. We'll get about 100 kids there. And it's our way of doing something in the winter, especially with the kids that aren't playing any other winter sports. It gets them up, gets them moving. We teach dynamic warm-up. We teach them speed development, and then we teach basic football skills. No pads, no hitting. We're teaching them how to catch. We're teaching them how to take proper steps, proper alignment, and making football fun. Sometimes we forget that it has to be fun in order to keep them playing. It's not a conditioning program. It's not a workout program. I invite all the youth coaches, the middle school coaches, they come and help. So they're learning. While we're teaching the kids, they're learning in the process as well. So we get that started at the end of January, and that'll run all of February.
Now, before we got going, you also mentioned to me that it's not just the kids. You're going to include the coaches in this, and it's something that I've seen around the country. We've had some successful coaches already talk about this kind of thing on the podcast. Our episode with Mike Elder, our episode with Bruce Cyphris, with Scott Heitland. Those coaches really talking about what they do K-12. And another one that comes to mind is Rick Jones. Rick Jones, now the senior assistant at Mizzou, had a great summer program. But you start yours in winter, And one of the big aspects, which is one of our pillars of the football development model, is that this is fun.
Well, I think it's imperative. I think we're not going to reverse the trend of a decrease in numbers until we learn to understand that the game can be fun. Yes, it's a physical game and it's played by physical people, and I understand all that, but there's a time to laugh and there's a time to have fun. And so I take this Winter Academy as an opportunity, one, to get to know kids in my community. Sometimes we get so caught up in the season, it's hard to get to know the kids at the lower level. So I get to know them by name. They get to know me by name. I get to coach coaches. So when the youth league coaches and the middle school coaches show up and I'm teaching how to zone block for an inside zone or a combo block, they're watching me explain it in detail to these young kids. And then they get to actually work with the young kids during this time period doing the same thing. So I'm coaching coaches, I'm coaching kids, and we're bringing the community together. There's no pads, there's no helmets or shoulder pads. We're not trying to be physical. And invariably what happens is I get to recruit some kids whose parents are on the bubble on whether or not their kids should play, but they come to these academies and they see that it's fun and the kids are enjoying it to where they end up playing in the
participation, another big pillar in the football development model, and you really have something that is a plan for that you're going to bring these kids in, you're going to show them that it's fun, and ultimately then you should see that reflection in the numbers. What has participation been like for you as you've started here at Mount Vernon?
I know our numbers increased at our youth league this year. First time they've seen an increase in youth league numbers in quite some time at Mount Vernon. Our middle school numbers are up at Mount Vernon. Our high school, the year before I got to the high school at Mount Vernon, they had 43 kids on the team. This year we finished with 76. Next year we think we'll be at 90. So we're seeing an increase in numbers, but I also think we're doing it the right way by making the community feel good about the product we're producing. But at the same time, the kids are walking away going, this is where I want to be. This guy's fun. It's not all about winning. It's about developing and character and relationships. And so I think it's a great opportunity in the winter when things are kind of cold and nasty outside and people don't want to do much, of a way of bringing kids into a gym and having fun, just playing a little football. We play games and we'll have what we call Marauder Air It Out. We play this little passing game where they have fun and they walk away telling their buddies to come. And I'm telling you, it's completely free. I don't charge anybody anything. I do it as a way of giving back to the community.
Coach, I love the way that it brings kids in and it makes it fun for them. And I think the other part, though, I see a lot of coaches do exactly what you're talking about, maybe at different times of the year, but those things are player-driven, but you're also developing the youth football coaches in your community as well. And we know that's an area where honestly, the game needs help. We got to make sure that those guys who are essentially donating their time, no youth football coach is getting paid, is coming armed to best teach and develop those kids and make it a positive experience, because what makes it fun is also that they were coached up well.
I'll tell you another thing we do, and I did this at Ben Davis and I'm doing it at Mount Vernon now, is the youth league coaches are not allowed to coach until they've gone through a clinic with the coaching staff at the high school, where we can teach offensive and defensive fundamentals. And for some of the older kids, the 5th and 6th grade, maybe if they're doing special teams, we teach them special teams fundamentals. When I talk about that, we're talking about how to properly catch a ball, how to properly run with a ball, and more importantly, how to properly block. A lot of your big collisions are because the younger level, they get a fast guy and they tell him to run right, run left, and they think that's football. And nobody's taking time to teach the offensive line how to block correctly, step correctly, use your hands correctly, keep your head out of the game. And then we take a lot of time teaching tackling, attacking the near hip, head to the side, face up, all those things that can eliminate injuries to the head, injuries to the neck. So by the high school coach getting involved and mandating a clinic to the younger coaches, you can eliminate some of your maybe some of the negativity that comes with coaching youth football.
I think that's so important because the game definitely has changed and some of those dads have played it. We are constantly now really looking at technique, as coaches, developing better technique, developing technique that takes the head out of the game. I would also suggest and add to that, Coach, and I know you're a part of this, that coaches out there, if you do not have your youth football programs and really all your coaches certified at USA Football, I think that is an essential step in this process, because they're going to get not just the health and safety type things. They're going to get some coaching fundamentals. They're going to get a great foundation now then, which you can build upon and teach all the different things that you do within your system.
You're absolutely correct. The information you get from that program, and I've done it at Bishop Delahan camps and different camps I've worked with, is you can't replace it. The knowledge and what you're getting and the technique that you get, if you can take that back to your home schools and teach in that process, your kids will be better for it. It'll be a safer game because of it, and you're just doing it the right way. And that's ultimately what we're after as coaches, to make sure we do it the right way.
And for anybody out there, a great resource, we have it up on our website right now. I'll include the link at the end of this show, is our new shoulder tackle system, which is 100% free, and your coaches could get access to that, whether that's your youth coaches or your high school coaches. Just a great tackling program that we've put together with the Seattle Seahawks and Rocky Seto, and we'll put that link up at the end of the show. Well, Coach, it doesn't stop there for you. That's not the only thing you do in the winter program. You're also going to do a summer program for these kids, a summer camp, and continue to nurture participation, continue to make it fun. Talk to us a little bit about the summer program.
The last week of June, I also have another youth camp, and I make my youth camps free. I know a lot of people use the youth camps to raise money. That's not what I'm about. Everybody does it differently, and I understand. But I want kids to come to the youth camp. I want them to have fun. Again, we're not putting pads on our youth camp. We're teaching. I get youth and middle school coaches to come help me. And so it's another opportunity for me to coach coaches. It's another opportunity for my high school coaches to coach coaches. And by doing this, we get the community excited. And that runs from 9 to 11 in the morning. We always finish with a fun game. I learned a long time ago that at a youth camp, you can practice and practice and practice for 2 hours. But if you finish with something fun, they'll all show back up the next day and probably bring a friend with them. So we try to finish with a game. We have a tackling drill game where we take the heads-up tackling. They'll tackle the dummy, and they'll squeeze, and they'll drop their knee, and they'll squeeze, and they'll thrust up through, and they'll get the head to the side, and the dummy goes to the ground, and they run back and tackle their buddy, and their buddy runs up, and whichever team tags the guy off first wins, and they have a blast. But we're teaching tackling while they're doing this very simple drill. And heads-up tackling, USA Football, when they created it, it's what triggered in my mind is we can teach this, do it correctly, and then make it kind of a game so they're having fun while they're practicing a specific technique, which is really a lot of fun.
There it is again, Coach, that idea of fun, such an important part of this and really building your programs and being able to retain these kids and keep that participation up. Well, Coach, it's not always just about fun. We want to make it fun, but ultimately at the end of the day, we have a huge opportunity in coaching football, whether that's youth football, whether that's high school football, to impact young men and women, to develop leadership, to develop skills within these kids that's going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. And right now, it's a huge opportunity for us to reimagine the game, to take the framework, something like the football development model that really is going to set your program up for success, that gives you a blueprint, and again, really bring everything together within our programs.
I think we make the game better by all of us getting together and sharing everything as one. We make the game better, we make the game safer, and we'll keep this, what I think is still the greatest game on earth. I've coached everything, basketball, baseball, softball, track. Nothing has ever compared to what football can teach a young man for off the field for when he grows up. I just got done talking to a young man yesterday that played for me in 2011. This true story, I have not talked to him in 4 years. And I saw something on social media, and I just said, hey, I hope you're doing well. He goes, Coach, I still remember. He goes, no. He goes, I catch myself every week saying, that's what Coach Kirschner meant when I get ready to do something. And I thought, man, he's remembering. Here it is 7 years later, and he still thinks about me in a positive light. So I think it's pretty neat. We got to embrace the opportunities we have as coaches to make our game better, but more importantly, make society better.
Coach, thank you for sharing all those things. Thank you for the work you do to make this game better. I appreciate you. Best of luck to you in Mount Vernon football in 2020.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me, and anytime I can help, I'm happy to.
As I mentioned, I wanted to share something from Rick Jones, who is now the senior assistant to the head coach at Mizzou. From his time at Greenwood High School in Arkansas, where he won 6 state championships, just did an outstanding job there. And for him, it was also about building that program K through 12. This is just another way you can do it, and he explains here his summer program he called Fast Dogs.
I think in terms of establishing a work ethic, a culture of effort and work and attitude, what we call Fast Dogs, it's our training program in the summer. Mm-hmm. It starts in July. We go grades 3 through 12, boys and girls. We have our volleyball team does it. Over the years, our basketball team's done it with us. Our baseball team has done it. It is a training program. It's a 4-week training program that we've done. We try to base it upon things that Gino Pierce is doing with the performance course there in Dallas area, Texas area. Gino and I go back a long way, but we're trying to get our football team ready for practice. But we work the 3rd through 12th grades. They come at different times. We have different sessions, and it's given us a great opportunity in this town that we live in to work with our younger kids and get to know these guys that are playing youth football and doing things like that. Last year, I think we had 550 kids in our summer program, and that's not, some of them are football players, some of them are, the majority of them are just people that want to, try to improve their speed and their athleticism over that short period of time. I think that's a big thing that's helped.
In Greenwood, football is a community-wide thing. It is something K through 12. And as Coach mentioned, they step outside of their program too and have the ability to lead these young people in the summer to have an impact on them. And I think, with everything we do right now, whether we are coaches or parents or somebody who's at the top as a commissioner, we have to lead. It's an opportunity right now to lead and make sure that our young people are learning how to lead, to treat people right, and do things the right way. Thank you for your interest and support in the football development model.